Hey guys, this is the interview queen, Alicia Atout, and you are listening to Tapped Out Interviews with Lewis Carlin. Thanks for listening.
Hello and welcome to Tapped Out Interviews. I'm your host, Lewis Carlin, and we're part of the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast Network. And you can follow me on Twitter at Tapped Out Lewis. That's Lewis. And my guest today, I'm very, very excited. She's been seen in Destiny Wrestling. You can see her in Blackcraft Wrestling, Women's Wrestling Revolution, Impact Wrestling. As a matter of fact, if you're a professional wrestler, odds are my next guest has interviewed you. Please help me welcome, and I'm very happy to welcome her today, the interview queen herself, Alicia Atout. Alicia, welcome to the show.
Hey Lewis, hi. Thank you so much for having me on. I have listened to the podcast that you've taken me in, which you've spoken about me before on here, and I'm excited to finally be here myself. So thank you.
Well, that's that. I told you before we went on, I'm so excited to be speaking with you today. I've wanted you on, wanted to talk to you for such a long time, and it's a privilege to have you on today. So I really thank you for coming on today.
Oh, thank you for all the kind words. This is going to be great.
Hey, my pleasure, my pleasure. So you're going to Europe. You're going to Europe next week for the first time. Why don't you tell us a little bit about why you're going there and what you're going to be doing and how all that came about?
Yes, so I am super excited because I'm going to Europe for the very first time. This has been a dream of mine since I was a kid, so it's really surreal that I'm going to be on a plane on Monday, and after 10 hours I'm going to be on the other side of the pond. Right. There's this music, it's crazy, there's this music festival happening in Groningen, which is in the Netherlands, and it's running for 4 days, from Wednesday to Saturday, and they reached out to me asking if I would like to come down and explore the festival, host some interviews, and just have a good time. And how can you read an email like that and say no? So everything lined up. I'm going to be flying out, as I mentioned, on Monday, coming back on Saturday, and I can't wait. It's going to be amazing.
Wow, that sounds absolutely awesome. So this is you said the first time you're gonna be out there in Europe?
Yes, it's my first time ever, so I just had to get some euros today, and
oh, wow.
prep everything. I've packed. I'm ready to go.
Oh, wow, that's super exciting, man. Wow, I'm green with envy right now. You're going to Europe, and I got to go to work on Monday. I got to go drive the shoe truck on Monday, so, while you'll be in Europe, so I'm a little jealous right now. So actually I was watching, Powerbomb TV. You actually did commentary recently, for the Women's Wrestling Revolution, the December 30th show. Was that the first time you did commentary, and is that something you might want to pursue?
Yeah, that was my very first time. I was down there for Powerbomb TV working 2 nights in a row. I did Women's Wrestling Revolution, and then the following night I was on New Year's Eve with both nights were incredible. But it was like a half hour before the show, and Jerry from Powerbomb came up to me and he's like, hey, what are your thoughts on commentary? And I'm like, wait, you mean like, do I like commentary? Does it serve a purpose? Or do you want me to do commentary? He's like, no, I want you to do commentary. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I don't say new opportunities, even if it's my first time. I'm pretty familiar with wrestling and I know a lot of the wrestlers, so I just treat it like shooting the breeze, but to a mic rather than to an audience. Yeah, it was interesting, and I think it went really well. The feedback was good, so hopefully I'll be able to do it again. I'm always looking to further my skill set and try new things.
Yeah, no, I didn't see the whole show. I was watching some of it the other day. You did a really good job, so I applaud you on that. And if it's something you want to pursue, I think you'd definitely be great at it.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it was my first time. I think it went over fairly well, so with some actual practice before and more of a heads up, like, I'm ready to nail it.
All right, there you go. So you have such a great passion for professional wrestling. So what is it about pro wrestling that draws you to it?
Man, I've just been a fan of it for so long. It's like I don't remember a time where like I wasn't watching, so I can't even tell you what draws me to it. I guess it'd be the storylines, the people, the community that's there. I just really being surrounded by wrestlers because everyone I've met and everyone that I'm really close with, they're lovely people. So those are probably my favorite things about it.
All right, cool. So who was the first professional wrestler? I think it was Cherry Bomb, if I'm not mistaken, who of course is Allie right now. But was that the first person that you ever interviewed?
As far as wrestlers go,
Oh, wrestlers, yes, wrestlers.
Yeah, that was about 2 years ago, 2 Octobers ago. And I emailed her a day before a show, which I would never do now, but you learn. I emailed her a day before.
Okay.
Hey, would you like to chat with me? I run this website. It's fairly popular. I do music interviews. I'm trying to do wrestling. She wrote me back. She was a sweetheart. She's like, yeah, meet me here. We'll knock it out. And it was such a good interview. She was so lovely. And it really boosted my confidence thinking, all right, I've got the music side down. I think I can do this whole wrestling thing too.
So did you know it was going to become as big as it is right now? Is it something that you were expecting?
Not at all. It started off as a hobby.
Okay.
Where I would write reviews online and I didn't know who was reading, and turned out people were reading, and then people started watching, and then people started following. So I had no idea it would turn into what it has, or I'd be able to meet or work with even half of the people that I have met and worked with. So yeah, the whole thing's been really surreal.
Well, you're giving me hope right now because I do this as a hobby and I'm hoping to grow it. So maybe one day I'll have as many followers as you do right now on Twitter. I think you're pushing 30,000-40,000 right now. So you're giving me hope there. So hopefully maybe one day I could sit down with Allie one day. Who knows?
Aw, I hope so too. So too.
Me too. So tell me about the origins of AMBY. How did that get all started, and what was the inspiration to begin that?
Yeah, so I would just write a lot in class, and then, excuse me, my family told me to, I might take a drink. I warned you before, I'm under the weather right now.
Nope, absolutely, that's fine.
Alright, voice is back. Isn't it weird how you can just drink or like cough really hard and then your voice comes back to normal? Isn't that so strange?
Yeah, no, like I said, I'm not feeling well myself, and as you're talking, I'm sipping tea to save my voice, so.
See, listeners, a little behind the scenes. Yeah, it happens to.
There you go.
So I used to write a lot, and it got to the point where my parents said, why don't you throw this stuff online into one of those blog things? So I did. And I started off just writing like a review a week while I was still in school. Then the reviews turned to me buying some professional camera equipment and doing concert photography. And then I was randomly thrown into doing my first interview ever. And I was kind of hooked. I really enjoyed it. It brought up this different side to me, a different confidence. And so I kept to it. And now I am here. But it started with the music stuff, and then once the music stuff got popular enough, it was one of those things where I figured, let's give wrestling a try, and it worked. That led to the Allie interview.
Yeah. So have you, you might have said it a little earlier, have you always been a pro wrestling fan? How long have you? Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. Since I was a kid, I was. You know my dad. So, yeah, so that was a small world, but he was the one who introduced me to it when I was super young. He'd be watching with his buddies, I'd be thrown on the couch with them, and I would just sit there and watch, and I never phased out of it. There were obviously a few times in my life where I didn't watch it as intensely, or little eras where I wasn't as intrigued by it, to be honest, but it's always kind of been there in the house, so yeah, he's the one who got me into it.
Right. Yeah, you mentioned your dad. It's funny because I remember I was watching, when I first saw your name, I saw the last name, I was like, wow, that's the same last name as a person I work with. Yes, I wonder if they're related. And I sent you the message, and you're like, oh yeah, he's my dad. So it's a small world that I work with your dad. So it's pretty cool. And here I am, I'm interviewing here now, and, it's just, like I said, very small world, man.
Yeah, it definitely is.
So what's your status right now with Impact Wrestling? Are you still the backstage interviewer with them?
Yeah, so every Wednesday I host a live Twitch show with Anthony Corelli, formerly known as Santino Morella, and it's called Behind the Lights. That goes live every Wednesday from 4 to 6 p.m. So that is one of the things I do with Impact, and then I also do their Canadian dates. They've been in America for a few months now, but they will be returning to Canada soon, so yeah.
All right. Actually, they're going to be in Windsor at the March tapings. I got my tickets. Mm-hmm. Are you going to be part of that?
Yes.
All right.
I will. There.
All right. Well, I'll see you there. I mean, I got my first row seats for that. So
Oh, nice.
Looking forward to that very much. So I mentioned earlier when I introduced you, you work for Blackcraft Wrestling, Destiny Wrestling, Impact Wrestling. You're going to Europe. How do you deal with this? You must have a hectic travel schedule. Like how do you handle this travel schedule?
I have a very big schedule book, and I'm always writing notes. And as soon as an interview is scheduled or a podcast, I write it in my notebook right away, and then once I'm home, I write it in my schedule. It's just a lot of keeping track of stuff, and it comes in waves. Sometimes you're traveling or you have shows for 2 weeks in a row and it's nonstop. Then you have a lull for a week where you have time to finally edit and sleep and do all the behind the scenes work that goes into running the website. So yeah, sometimes it's overwhelming, but at the end of the day, you realize, hey, my job's pretty cool, and it's nice that I get to go different places and experience different things and meet cool people. So, it's definitely worth it.
All right, there you go. Now, you worked at All In. What are your thoughts on All Elite Wrestling, and any chance that you might become involved with All Elite Wrestling? Because I know you've interviewed Cody Rhodes, you've interviewed the Young Bucks. Should the opportunity be there, would you be interested in working for All Elite Wrestling?
100%. All In was my favorite thing to be a part of last year. It was one of my favorite moments of the year, not of the year, of my life that I've experienced, quite honestly. And seeing what those boys have been able to form, the fan base they've been able to gather, and just the genuine love and passion that they have for the business. Mm-hmm. I love being around them. I love being at their shows or the shows they're on. And it would be amazing to not just have it have been a one-off at All In, but to be a part of something I know is going to be just as special in AEW. So yeah, I would love to be a part of that.
So your opinion, Kenny Omega, is he going to AEW or is he going to WWE?
AEW.
Oh,
come on!
I totally agree, 100%.
New Japan contract expires on the 31st of January. That's why he wasn't at the rally or the press conference they just held a couple days ago. He's going to show up there. It's a given, and I don't know any insider info or anything. This is just how I genuinely feel. He's going to be a part of it. It's his best friends. They're all doing so well. Why wouldn't you take the opportunity to just do what you want, not be controlled by anybody, and be surrounded by the people you love? I mean, I think he'll be there.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. I agree with you 100%. There's no way he's signing with the WWE. Do you think the WWE has anything to worry about with All Elite Wrestling?
I think it's one of those things where WWE's just massive, and I don't think they have anything to worry about just because of the stance that they have, and I think they'll always have. Yes, they might be taking people that they want or signing people that they want, like a Kenny Omega, especially after that huge deal he was offered, but I think that they have other things to worry about, and there's so many amazing athletes and wrestlers on the indies that they can pick up, so I don't think it's a big worry. But with that said, AEW is going to be amazing and definitely might be taking some spotlight, but it's one of those things where WWE is just so massive. I don't see who's going to undertake that. So
okay,
I'm not talking quality or anything. I'm just talking pure size.
No, I agree with you on that as well. So you've interviewed one of my absolute favorites, Chris Jericho. I think you've interviewed him twice, if I'm not mistaken. Do you it's Chris Jericho? When you sit next to him, are you getting really nervous? Do you get nervous at all when you do these interviews?
I'm just excited. I used to be a nervous wreck when I do my interviews, but now it's just this anxiety I have, and it's this excitement where I just can't wait to start. I do this little interview jiggle, this little dance before where I shrug my shoulders, and I'm like, all right, this is going to be a good time. Okay. Look who I'm sitting with. You can't waste this being super nervous. You just gotta go for it 100% and just have fun with the guy. And I feel like when you watch the interviews back, that's the vibe you get. So that's how I approach them.
So, how much preparation goes into an interview with Chris Jericho or Kenny Omega or Rey Mysterio?
Yeah, it totally depends on when it comes to a certain wrestler. Some are great on their social media, and some aren't so great on their socials.
Sure.
So I like to say when I do my research, I kind of become a professional stalker. So some interviews can take 3 hours of research because things just fall together. Things just come together so easily. And some interviews I've done take a day or two of research on just looking through old interviews, listening to old podcasts, making sure I don't ask the same questions, going through all their social media, even sometimes years back to find a little nugget of cool research that I could bring up again. So it depends on the person and how they are online and how much press they've done in the past.
All right. Now you've interviewed music groups and you've interviewed pro wrestlers. Is there going to be a point in your life where you're going to think about, maybe I want to start interviewing someone like actors or another form of entertainment, or are you going to just stick with the music groups and the pro wrestlers?
At this point, wrestling is my main focus.
Okay.
Just because I love it so much. But when it comes to interviewing, it's more so a skill set, and it can be applied, as you mentioned, like to so many different people. So I'm definitely not opposed to expanding and interviewing other people just when the time feels right. Right now, I'm focused on wrestling so much and it's doing so well. I really want it to explode right now.
So you've interviewed so many wrestlers. Is there anybody out there that I'm sure there's someone that you haven't interviewed, but is there someone out there that you want to interview, that you hope to interview in 2019?
All right, so I'd really love to interview Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's a big one, but I've always dreamt big, because if I didn't, I wouldn't have gotten some of these legends I have. So, some people are like, "You're crazy, you think that?" I'm like, just watch. If it's not this year, it might happen.
Okay.
So yeah, I'd love to interview him. This is a big one, but Cena. I've been a Cena fan since I was a kid.
Okay.
Shawn Michaels.
Okay.
I want to do a round 2 with Okada, but make it longer. I love the Rainmaker. Man, this is tricky. There's so many. I feel like I'm missing a big one that I wanted to interview, and I'm just totally blanking.
What about like Hulk Hogan or The Rock, or one of them?
Thank you. It was The Rock.
Oh, The Rock. There you go. The Rock. Okay.
Yes. I think he's just so charismatic and inspirational and funny, and not to mention like talented in so many different ways. He's just like a Chris Jericho in that sense, where he can apply his knowledge and skills to so many different avenues. He would just be such a fun conversation, and he's very personable. I think it can happen. I just need to make it happen. Yeah. I'm confident. Like it's a goal of mine, so we'll see.
No, you'll get there. You're only, I think you're 22 or 23, and you'll definitely get there. You're doing a tremendous job. And 2019, 2020, I'm predicting you'll be sitting down with The Rock.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I hope so.
So do you have a favorite guest out of everyone that you've interviewed?
Oh my gosh.
if you don't have one, do you have 5 favorite guests?
Man, okay. I always love having the Bucks on. They're just 2 of my favorite guys.
Okay.
I loved interviewing definitely Chris Jericho.
Okay.
Mick Foley. It's so hard. I'm trying to think of like some of my favorite conversations. Sue Young. I absolutely loved having her on my show. That was definitely different. Chris Wolf, who I adore. We always end up singing our favorite karaoke jams when we're together, so that was so much fun every time. Those are some of them, but it's like you form these relationships with people and friendships after these interviews. I'd say like 80 or 90% of the people I interview I keep in touch with, and then you become friends, and it's hard to choose.
What about RJ City? What are your thoughts on RJ City?
He's interesting.
Actually, he found out you were going to be on the show today, and he gave me a message to give to you. So I'm going to read it now.
Oh no!
He said he wanted me to tell you that you need to stop retweeting every compliment that comes your way, and that he has addressed this poor etiquette with you before. He wanted me to tell you that.
If RJ had more fans, he'd be getting more people tweeting to him, and he'd understand what the retweet button is really for. So I apologize that I have tons of people tweeting me per day, and that I respect them and appreciate them, RJ. Maybe one day to that point.
Hey.
No, I really like RJ. I love seeing him at shows. He loves busting my balls, but it's always a good time when I see him. And I'm not going to stop retweeting.
No, that's cool. Actually, I've had him on a few times. He's actually, I would say he's probably one of my, if not my favorite guest that I've ever had on my show.
He's so
Yeah,
quirky and
he's been on twice, and I'm just laughing throughout the whole show. He's absolutely hysterical, absolutely one of my favorites.
no, he's a great entertainer.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, this might be a silly question, but I hope you don't mind me asking. Just your website states that you're a fan of ginger ale, so you're a big ginger ale drinker. Is that true? Is that the case? So
I'm a girl addict.
So my question is, Canada Dry or Schwepps?
Canada Dry.
All right.
In the can.
There we go. I think they have a cranberry ginger ale as well. Have you tried that? It's not that bad, but.
I was excited. Found out that they were creating a different type of ginger ale. I was really excited. Then when I found out it was cranberry, I felt like I was so cheated because I don't like cranberries. So I'm like, I'm not going to try that. I was so mad.
Okay, all right. So Destiny Carnage is coming up, and you're going to be a big part of that. And they got a huge main event. Josh Alexander, who's one of my favorites, against Pete Dunne. Also Tyler Bate against Aiden Prince. So why don't we just tell us a little bit about the show and what you're going to be doing at Destiny Carnage?
Yes. So I love working with Destiny. They've really given me this platform to not only do backstage promos, but try new things. The second time I worked with them, their owner, Iceman, put me in front of a live audience. He's like, hey, I want you to host for us. This is kind of the deal, and let's see how it goes. And I went out there, hosted for like one of the first times, really putting my all into it, and it went really well. And so I've hosted a few of their shows now, and at their last show, it was a live pay-per-view streaming on Fight TV, and he had me ring announce for the very first time, and he's put so much trust into me, and I appreciate him loads for it. But I ring announced, the reception was fantastic from fans and from the crew and from Iceman, so I will be hosting and ring announcing for Carnage, and it is happening on January 20th, so very soon, and you guys should get on it because it's going to be absolutely insane. The main event, as you mentioned, is Josh Alexander facing Pete Dunne. Pete wasn't able to come out to a show or two. He has been very busy, and so Josh Alexander worked his ass off and became the interim Destiny World Heavyweight Champion. So now it's kind of, Josh is saying there's no such thing as an interim champion. I am the champ. Pete's like, no, I'm the real champ. So these two they're going to go at it, and it's going to be crazy. In my opinion, it's two of the best wrestlers out there, and it is happening at Destiny Wrestling, January 20th. It's stacked. There's so much amazing local talent there too. It's at the Don Koloff Arena. It's just going to be phenomenal. So if you guys happen to be local, if you want to go for a nice drive down to Mississauga, come out. It is going to be awesome.
Yeah, that main event. You know, I'm actually thinking about coming out there. It's a 4-hour drive for me, but that main event, Josh Alexander against Pete Dunne, I'm considering it. I'm considering coming out for that because that's going to be a match of the year candidate for sure. And also Tyler Bate and Aiden Prince. Aiden Prince is another one of my favorites. That's going to be a phenomenal match as well.
Yeah. I can't wait. As soon as I come back from the Netherlands on Saturday, and the show's on Sunday. So it's going to be like the best week ever, and wow. I'm so excited Destiny's a part of that. Yeah.
So you don't think you're going to get hit with any jet lag or anything like that during the show?
I definitely will be, but okay. I've been to conventions and signings where the convention's like 3 days. You're signing all day. You're up super early working, or you're live, and you don't go to bed until like 4 a.m. And I've done so many of those now where my body just kind of, if you're tired, you just work through it. So I'm ready to kick some ass in the Netherlands, kick some ass at Destiny, and won't let jet lag get the best of me.
All right, so do you want to give us a prediction? Who do you think is going to win, Josh Alexander or Pete Dunne? Or?
Oh, man. Okay. I think that Josh Alexander is one of the most underrated, underappreciated wrestlers, not only in Canada, but just ever. He's just so skilled in the ring. He's such an amazing technician. His strength is incredible. His showmanship is great. His enthusiasm. Man, that's nothing against Pete Dunne, because Pete also showcases those exact same traits, but I've just been championing Alexander for so long, and I know him personally. I just think it would be so important for him to win that title fair and square, actually having it in Ontario. That would just, I want to see Canadian strong style really thrive that night.
All right. Once again, I'm with you. I'm a big Josh Alexander fan. I have my Canadian Strong Style shirt, which I purchased from him. Big fan. I was at the, I think you were at the Sammy Callahan, when Callahan hit him over the head with the chair not the chair, the garbage can and
oh my gosh.
Split him open. I think you were at that show, if I'm not mistaken. You were announcing on that show. I think you were the ring announcer.
Yes, I was at that.
Yeah, because I was
that was the
no, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm cutting you off. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. I think that there might be some lag on Skype. If I'm cutting you off, I do not mean to.
No, it's okay. No, I'll let you go ahead.
Yeah, for that show, I was just hosting it. I think that was the first Destiny show that I hosted, actually. And it was insane. It was, as you mentioned, he was hit over the head with a steel garbage can, and he just split his head open. There was blood everywhere, all over the ring apron. They were in a steel cage. It was insane. And there were huge blotches of blood afterwards on the apron that people were scrubbing, and it was just, no one expected that, that's for sure. It was memorable.
Yeah, I was there for that one. I got a lot of pictures of Josh Alexander's blood, which I actually sent to him, and he thanked me for it. But great time, and like I said, I'm considering taking the 4-hour drive out to Toronto for the 20th. So have you ever done an interview that you felt wasn't working, and how'd you pull through? How did you deal with that?
I've been really lucky, because for the last 2 years, I feel like for the last 3 years, I've found my groove, and I've been getting better with each interview, and I feel like the person on the other end sits down, they feel comfortable, there's a trust level, and we just have fun. But before really having that aspect to myself, there were times where I sit down with people, and it's weird. I don't want to sound a certain way, but some people just aren't as exciting as other people. But as an interviewer, it is your job to bring the excitement out. Okay. So you just try to have fun with them, try to crack a smile. And for me, I've been really lucky because it's worked. And once I got past those nerves I was nervous for the first couple of years I was and not as confident and really young. But once you get past that and you make the person comfortable, that's what matters. So that's really how I pushed through it.
All right, so when did you become the interview queen? When did that tag start?
I think fans started calling me it in late summer of 2018, and just kind of became a thing where I had a few fans hashtagging it and kind of joking or DMing me it. And then I thought about it. I don't think there's somebody else out there, at least within the last 5 years I've been doing this, that has hosted as many interviews as I have. Each year I host over 400 interviews.
Wow.
And sometimes I once broke, I think, 580 or might have been 600 interviews one year. But it just occurred to me, if fans really see me this way and they appreciate me that much to coin me something like that, maybe I gotta believe in myself that much too. And so I started using it, and it kind of became a thing. It's now on t-shirts and pins and stickers, and people introduce me like that at shows or signings. So it's kind of funny how it started as a little joke between fans, and now it's a thing.
Well, it's a title well deserved. You are the interview queen. So nobody does it better than you, Alicia. You are the interview queen.
Oh, thank you so much.
My pleasure. So we have some fan questions. I have about 5. If that's okay, I could start with the fan questions.
Yeah, let's do it.
So we got from Go Home Wrestling Network. Didn't get the name of the person, just they're from the Go Home Wrestling Network. Wants to know if you find your role during TV tapings difficult, like it appears to be for Don Callis and Josh Matthews. I guess he's talking about Impact Wrestling.
Oh man, no comment on the last part, but
okay.
I don't find it difficult. I walk in we know what we're about to get into, and you just go with the flow. Without giving too much like insider behind the scenes info or anything. I don't find it difficult. I think since I converse so much, I know how to play off people's emotions. So whether when it comes to Impact, it's Killer Cross yelling at you or Ali smiling at you before she turned evil, of course.
Okay.
You just play off their emotions. So it's pretty easy for me, and I still want to get even better at it, but I think it comes fairly naturally.
All right. The Golden Voice, Michael Berry. He wants to know, how was your experience at StarCast 1 last year, and do you anticipate having a role at StarCast 2?
StarCast 1 was amazing. That was the first convention I ever signed at, so it was insane. I woke up most days at like 7 a.m., well, way before 7 actually, but I had to be on the floor by 8 a.m. most days because I was hosting for StarCast on Fight TV, and I'd walk around for hours talking nonstop, and then as soon as that finished, I was on the floor signing, meeting tons of fans, and as soon as that finished, you try to eat some food, and you're back to signing, and it was one of the most chaotic weekends of my life, but it opened so many doors, so many opportunities. I met so many great people, and I would love to be a part of StarCast too, because not only am I a lot bigger, since I had the opportunity to be at StarCast 1, but any chance I get to meet my fans and to show appreciation for them and get myself out there, I'd love to take that up. So hopefully you guys will see me at StarCast 2.
All right. Sounds good. Maxi Milano, Ado, A-E-D-O. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong. If he's listening, wants to know, what are your thoughts on esport tournaments?
Esport tournaments?
Yeah. I looked it up. I didn't know what it was. It's apparently a form. It's a form of competition involving video games.
Oh man. Well, I can't really comment to esport tournaments because, as you've found out about 15 seconds ago, I didn't know what that was.
Yeah.
But if it comes to video games, just to kind of answer his question without answering his question,
Okay.
I really enjoy like old school video games. I've been playing so much Galaga lately because I have a Nintendo Classic.
Oh, wow.
And man, I'm obsessed. Like, my dad used to play nonstop hours on end when he was a kid.
Okay.
So we got the Switch, and I'm addicted. I'm always trying to beat my high score, and I love it. So I don't know about these tournaments, but I do love video games. And I actually used to play competitively myself when I was in high school. So, yeah, I love them.
All right. Primetime 1216. Is there anyone... I think you might have already answered this question with me, but is there anyone past or present, dead or alive, that you want to interview? Of course, Steve Austin, but if you could pick one person, dead or alive.
If I had to just pick one overall, it would be two. It would be John Cena if I could only pick one.
John?
Just because I loved him since I was a kid, and he still entertains me to this day. And he's such a wrestling icon. So he would be my number.
Your number one?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. I'm sorry, you cut out there for a second. I heard he will be my number. I was waiting for I think you did say number one, but I think it cut out there for a bit. So I'm
can you imagine that pop dramatic effect?
Kofi Christ. I don't know if you've ever heard of Kofi Christ. He's a wrestler out in the Maritimes. He's a friend of mine. Have you heard of Kofi Christ?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, he wants to know, when are you going to interview him already?
We just have to find a show where we line up, and I am down to do something, definitely.
All right, yeah, he's actually a good friend of mine. He's gonna be a big star one day, and he wanted me to ask you that question. And that's it for the fan questions. I do have one more question, and I will wrap this up. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Ooh, that's a big one. In 5 years, I would love to be signed with a company where I can travel around and just do what I love, which is interviewing or being involved in the wrestling community. Or I would just love to keep running my website and getting bigger and better interviews and travel a ton because of it. Like what I'm doing, but tenfold. I really would just love to become the person that everyone goes to if you're a wrestling fan. that's kind of one of my dreams right now.
Do you see yourself working in the WWE one day?
I could see it. It's one of those things where it's a goal that's so big. You just either wait for the call, or I don't even know if they have tryouts for interviewers. I think they reach out to you, but that's something. It's like with wrestlers. I think every wrestler wants at some point to be a part of it, and then if another cool opportunity comes their way, then amazing. But I have my a couple things right now, and it's just a matter of what pans out and what opportunities come my way.
All right. Well, Alicia, I just want to thank you so much for joining me today. Like I said, I've wanted to have you on for a very, very long time, and I'm glad you took time out of your busy schedule to join me today. And I think you're fantastic. You're 23 years old, and you have a very, very bright future ahead of you, and I wish you nothing but the best of luck in the future.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited we were able to do this. I've seen you at a few shows now. I know you had the connection with my dad from work. And yeah, I'm really glad to have been on. So thank you for not only talking about me on your show previously, but having me on now.
Hey, my pleasure, my pleasure. And anytime you want to come back, and I know you got a busy schedule, but anytime you ever want to come back, you're always welcome on Tapped Out Interviews.
So much. And thank you to everybody listening.
Yeah, my pleasure. So this has been Tapped Out Interviews. Again, I want to thank my guest, the interview. And until next time, thank you very much, everybody. Take care, bye-bye, and stay safe, everyone. So long.